Yeah, so today we're talking about something, our theme is momentum, yes? So I'm going to speak to you about something that's curbing, that's stopping, that's staunching the momentum of a whole lot of Ugandans today. How do you feel when you're rejected by somebody you like or somebody you love? You feel sad. How do you feel when maybe, I don't know, you lose an earring? You feel sad. But you see, that sadness will dissipate. It will come, you'll feel it, and it will leave. Now, when we speak about depression, what depression does is it comes and it pitches a tent in your life, pitches a tent in your mind, it hangs out, it makes itself comfortable. Many times, depression takes a really long time to leave, and we are often not equipped to help ourselves come out, pull ourselves out of depression. Now, depression is defined as a mood disorder that brings about prolonged sadness and loss of interest in life. Now, what that definition is not doing is it's not telling us about how when you're depressed, every single thing, every single day is experienced as anguish. Or a kitten walked into your room, pain. Or your friends, I don't know, sent you a text message, that's horrible. Everything is experienced as anguish. It's not preparing us for the guilt that people who experience depression feel. Many times the people all around you, these are people who may be business leaders, who may be privileged. They always will think, how is it that me in this position, who has been given all these gifts, can be wasting time wallowing in depression? There is a big guilt there. What this description of depression doesn't describe is the horrible paranoia where you feel everybody is out to get me, I don't know, everything is awful, everybody doesn't like me. That's one of the side effects of depression. And what this, finally, what this definition of depression doesn't give us is the knowledge of just how much people who suffer from depression want to be okay. They would like to be on that ledge of okayness. So when you tell somebody experiencing depression, cheer up, lighten up, stop being such a downer, stop being so dramatic, what you don't know is that this person would really love to be okay. They'd love to stop being dramatic or stop being a downer. They'd like to be as okay as you are in the moment. So I think we all know Humans of New York. We've all looked at that page. It's great. When Brandon was traveling through Africa, he passed through Kenya. And he photographed this gentleman who talked about his wife. He said his wife lost her brother and her father in the same month. And what happened is she crumbled. And she stopped being able to speak, she stopped being able to eat, she stopped being able to engage the children, she was silent. And what he did is he took her to as many hospitals as he could, they saw as many specialists as they could. And when Brandon asked him, you know, what worked, what helped, he said, I don't know, time, and we continued to pray, we prayed together. But now when I come back home, my wife greets me at the door and she makes me a cup of tea. And the reaction of the world to that story was, oh my God, Africans experience depression too? It was such a surprise commiseration. Oh my God, we are more similar than we are different, you know, kumbaya. There was that kind of vibe. What did the world expect? What do we expect? Are we blind? Do we not see that every 2 months or so there'll be a big story in the New Vision or the Monitor, or even garish and gory pictures in our WhatsApp inboxes with the picture of a young person who has hurled themselves off a worker's house or one of the many tall buildings that we are starting to have in Kampala? Do we not all know somebody whose uncle's auntie something committed suicide? We know of suicide as a society, but we speak of it in such hushed tones. We know of depression, but what we say is, what, you think you're white? What, you think you're in Hollywood? We Africans don't experience depression. All of us here know that that's a lie. Now, according to the UN, Uganda, this was in 2013, Uganda was declared the happiest country in East Africa. Yeah, happiest. pork parties. I don't know. I know Ugandans will take any excuse to party, they'll take it. So we're declared the happiest in East Africa. But then, according to Dr. Bisangwa, who is on the front line against the battle against depression and mental disorders, Dr. Bisangwa from Butabika Hospital stated that over 60% of people who kill themselves in Uganda would have either reconsidered their actions or would have spoken to somebody about what they were thinking, about their suicidal ideation, if their people had taken them seriously. What does this mean? When somebody says, I feel really bad, I feel like everything should end, we're like, come on now. This is not a Ugandan thing to say. You don't seriously feel those ways, you know? We dismiss these feelings. And according to Dr. Bisangwa, this leads to 60% of people who feel depression killing themselves. This actually happens. So let me ask you, are we too busy being happy? You know, the happiest nation in East Africa. Are we too busy being happy to save our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, these productive people in society, these young people, these old people, these people? Are we too busy being happy to save them from depression? Now, some people ask, you know, what causes depression? Because a lot of people say, okay, you want us to listen to you talking about depression, what causes it? Depression can be caused by some people are more prone to depression because of genetics. A particular kind of sorrow or sadness. Sadness can trigger depression. But also, depression is caused by the lack of a particular neurotransmitter, a particular hormone in the brain called serotonin. So our brain cells, our 40 million brain cells, or maybe more, you know, these 40 million brain cells most of them rely on serotonin to function, to work. And the brain only produces 10% of the serotonin that the body has. So now, where do you get this other serotonin? You can get it from exercise, you can get it from the way you eat. But you know, I'm not a scientist, so I will not go there. All I ask is that please research depression. If you feel that somebody around you is being dramatic, talking about dying, or you know, or saying, I can't leave the house, I'm too afraid, you know, I'm too low. Don't ignore them. Think of them. If you have to Google, if you have to go to Butabika, there are free services, there are free counseling services. Now, many people when I was writing this speech, a lot of people that I spoke to said, are you really going to talk about yourself suffering from depression, or are you going to talk about it as, you know, a thing that happens? Because you, Mildred, who runs this FitcliqueAfrica, who is being lauded currently as, you know, the person who cares about women's safety, creating, you know, you are a yoga teacher, are you really going to go out there and tell people that Mildred Apenyo suffers from depression? Yes, I am, because you can be productive, you can be, I don't know, a change maker, you can be all kinds of things and still suffer from depression and still experience depression on a day-to-day basis. Not only lazy people suffer from depression, not only people who want pity suffer from depression. I feel that many of us here have experienced depression, or at least know somebody who has. Now, as far as getting better, finding wellness, people find wellness in many, many different ways. Personally, things like, I really love to dance. I love to dance. So dancing will help, music will help me. I find that eating particular things will help me. Because I am privileged, I'm lucky, I own a women's gym. I have many, many trainers at my disposal. When I feel particularly low and I go and lift those weights or kickbox or do a bit of yoga, I feel better in that moment. And that betterness in that moment is what helps me survive whatever sorrow, whatever anguish I was feeling. This is why, personally, I feel so strongly about things like street molestation. When a person leaves their house and they're walking along the street, you don't know their story. So imagine that this person found it really hard to walk out of their room, was afraid of the things that were going to happen, or was feeling really anxious about leaving their house. And imagine them leaving their house and walking past builders and them saying something sexual, then walking past a borderman and him leering, then walking past, you know, this woman who is like, by the way, you are not smart, you know? Imagine all of that, and imagine how it can affect this human being who is already finding it so hard to function on a day-to-day basis. We all have to think of that. And if at all you are going through depression, I'd like to say, please do not give up on yourself. And my definition of bliss, of nirvana, my definition of heaven is a situation where you're living life, or I'm living life with enthusiasm, curiosity, and ease. So I would like to wish all of you as much bliss and as much heaven as this world can give you.